Do Capricorn and Cancer today. And the thing about this axis is we can relate it to mom and dad. We can relate it to our personal emotional experience and the experience of being out in the world and having to follow rules. We can relate it to being home and being safe and having to go out and work and make your way through life. We can relate it to our lineage, our ancestry, our memories, and all that came before us that we don't fully understand. We don't totally know. And we can relate it to having to go out and deal with the world anyway, regardless of how we feel, regardless of what came before us, regardless of what was passed down through the DNA. So this is a really interesting axis that we are all working with all the time. I'm Nafa Perkins of Electra Astrology, and this is Astrology for Awakening, where I am going through all of the facets, well, not all of the facets, but I'm going through a lot of the facets of every sun sign. And I use astrology as an organizing tool for your own psychology, for your own nature, understanding yourself, connecting your spiritual higher self, your relationship to God with your lower human self, because we are humans. That's what we're doing in these bodies at this time. And Earth has a certain set of rules that we all follow. We all come in to learn, and we have our own internal experience, which is the fourth house and the archetype of Cancer and the moon. And then we have to go out into the world and make our way somehow. And that is Capricorn and the archetype of the 10th house and Saturn. So these two, it's conflicting. There's this teeter-totter. Do I want to be safe and sound and secure and cozy in my house and feel my feelings? Or do I want to be out in the world making money and creating a body of work? And a lot of us want different things at different times. And it doesn't always match with what is happening. Plenty of times, you're tired. You just want to stay home on the couch and eat some food because you're in a bad mood or because your feelings have been hurt and you can't. You have to go to work. And then sometimes you're stuck at home and the walls are closing in on you and you can't stand the people in your family and you just want to get the heck out of there. So this is what we're always dealing with when we're looking at Cancer and Capricorn. And in the talk that follows, which is edited from my podcast, Star Narrative Season 5, I deepen into it and talk about how to work with those two conflicting parts of yourself. But as any of the axes in astrology will tell you, you can't have one without the other. They always go hand in hand. So take a deep breath, get settled, tune in to what it feels like for you right now in the land of your own emotions, what's happened for you today that feels remarkable. If you were going to name your strongest emotion, what would that be? And how does it feel? And then look at how you've had to work today. Where have you been out in the world? And what has it felt like to you out there? Have you had to make some decisions, take some responsibility? And, the truth is that both Cancer and Capricorn are cardinal signs and they are bosses along with Aries and Libra. These are the four signs that take charge. They come up with the ideas and they move into action. So even if you're at home, there's a lot to do, a lot of responsibilities that are out in front of you. And when you're out in the world and you're making money and you're going to work, also a ton of responsibilities. So this energy can feel really heavy, can feel like, wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. So just tune into your body and notice how you're feeling as we go into this talk. And then you can do the same when you're done. Allow your higher self to ping you when there's something that comes up in what I say that is meant for you. You'll know it. All right, and check out the rest of these talks, Astrology for Awakening. They are all designed to help you self-inquire, understand yourself a little bit better. We're talking about Cancer and Capricorn today. All of these signs always have their match.
We are looking almost as if we were on a seesaw. There's one sign over here, another sign over here, and we are always moving back and forth, back and forth. Ideally, we want to have a balance. So in astrology, we call these oppositions. And the problem with oppositions is that we are usually too heavy on one side. And we're working to have that perfect seesaw experience where we're up and down and up and down, and it's really enjoyable. And you're not sitting on the ground and you're not dangling in the air. So that's what we're doing with oppositions. And the sign of Cancer's second half, better half, worse half, depending on how you look at it, is Capricorn. So when we look at the archetype of Cancer, we are looking at that deep emotional side of you. I've been using the analogy of the queen as your emotional center. So if we were to look at tarot cards and say the Queen of Cups, and the queen is here to create a sense of groundedness in emotional matters. This means that your queen on a good day is tender, sweet, compassionate, intuitive. Your queen on a bad day is moody, resentful, withholding, feeling unloved, and feeling like she gives and does not receive. So that in and of itself is a spectrum, and that in and of itself is a seesaw that we're looking to balance out. Our healthy queen says, oh, I feel resentful. Why? Do I need to apply more love here? Do I need to apply more tenderness here? Do I need to not take it so personally over here? And so those are always questions that we are looking at exploring when we are in the realm of our emotions. We will explore this more over the next few weeks, but emotions are good information, but they aren't particularly trustworthy because emotions are so changeable. We have to ride that emotional wave, as we say. You may be sad at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, and by 12:45, you might be laughing, and the world is your oyster, and you really never know. We are working to really cultivate the strongest, most grounded, and dependable queen possible. So another way to look at this Cancerian archetype is through the lens of the mother. Think about how you mother, whether you are mothering humans or animals or houseplants, most definitely how you are mothering yourself. If we sidestep over to the mother archetype, we are looking ideally at a healthy mother who is attuned, who can tune into what is happening emotionally with those that we care for. And we get some guidance for how to help them and tend and nurture and care give and make sure that those that we love, those that we are responsible for, that they have their needs met. This is true also when we are looking at having to meet our own needs and how we are tending to ourselves and caring for ourselves. And this becomes particularly loud, this idea of how are you mothering yourself when we are looking at Capricorn. So take a second, close your eyes, and take some deep breaths into your physical body. How well do you mother yourself? How do you mother yourself? A lot of us learn how to mother ourselves through how our own mother tended to us. I'm a mother, and I know that mothering is really hard because I am also my own person. I'm also my own entire kingdom, and my kids are only a part of that kingdom. And yet, kids need an incredible amount of everything. Mothers, I think every mother, I would like to believe that every mother does her best. She does what she is capable of. She does the best that she can do with what she has. And when we look at the archetype of Cancer going into the fourth house and going back through the lineage, knowing that when we are working with mothering, the way that we were mothered, the way that she was mothered, the way that she was mothered, the way that she was mothered, we can go all the way back. And we know that we are carrying all of that with us. And so the way that we were mothered might have been imperfect. You might have had a mother that was overbearing and a helicopter mother. You might have had a mother that was cold and distant. You might have had a mother that was addicted and was unable to care for you. You might have had an angry mother, a mother that was distracted with her relationships, a mother that needed you to mother her. There's all of these combinations of the mothering that we had. And a lot of times we bring that into how we mother ourselves. And if we had less than perfect mothering, then usually our tending to ourselves is less than perfect. But I want you to sit for a minute and just think about that question. How do I mother myself? Am I kind? Am I attuned? Do I show myself love and forgiveness? Do I seek to meet my own needs before I beat myself up? And that goes hand in hand with the questions around what kind of queen you are when it comes to your emotions and dealing with the emotions of your kingdom. Everything that happens to you in a given day, everything that has happened to you over the course of your life, the way that you are using your emotions to inform you, reacting to things, using your emotions to hopefully problem solve, but maybe you're allowing them to create more problems. Are you a sufficient queen? Are you a good mother? And I'm asking you these questions not because I want to make you feel bad or I want to make you doubt yourself, but these are good to know as we are coming to know ourselves. It's good to get very, very honest with the kind of mother that you are, especially to yourself, and the kind of emotional ruler you are. What kind of queen are you to your kingdom? Because when we look at the archetype of Capricorn, which is right across the way, Capricorn is incredibly different. Capricorn is out in the world. We are no longer at home dealing with our emotions, feeling into those emotional waves. We are no longer afforded the ability to care for ourselves and tend to and nurture ourselves. We are not in our homes doing our tender, loving nurturing. And we are not as in control as, let's say, a mother might be in her own home or a queen might be in her own castle, because we are out in the world now and we are dealing with other people and we are dealing with the rules, the regulations, the tradition. Capricorn is where we seek success, and it is an earth sign. It is a cardinal earth sign, so it is one of the bosses. Remember that Cancer is a boss as well. Cancer rules by attuning and knowing what other people need and then being able to give it to them. I draw you in because I can make you feel better. That's how Cancer does it. Capricorn is a boss because it has integrity, it has experience, it has walked through hard situations, and it has become hardened. It's like a block of coal that becomes a diamond. Capricorn can be very intimidating energy because we have to be out in the world. We have to watch our back, we have to follow the rules, we have to do the right thing, and we have to be really good at it. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn sometimes is referred to as the tough love father energy. It is also the energy of the advisory committee, and it is also the energy of the government. So if you imagine the difference between a mother's love and a government's law, or the sweet tenderness of a feminine queen versus the hard, streamlined rules of the governing bodies. And although they all have to work together, they're very different. And so, in asking you these questions, what kind of mother are you? And what kind of queen are you? The other question that goes along with that is, what kind of advisor are you? What kind of governing body are you? So let's use the inner critic as this example. Take a deep breath. Tune into this present moment. What's your inner critic like? When I'm doing astrology readings for people, I will say, it looks like you have a pretty hard inner critic. Is that true? And everybody says yes. Some people do have louder, harsher inner critics than most. That is true. But I think that all of us on some level have that inner guiding voice that is trying to keep us safe, trying to write rules and laws and regulations that seem to be in alignment, but that ultimately end up falling a little bit short because what we are accustomed to is being ruled with a threat of punishment. When we feel like we're going to get in trouble for making a mistake, we are more likely to follow the rules. And that is what our law system is based on. And in many ways, that is the energy of the planet Saturn. When we have Saturn transits, you have to take responsibility for what you have done, what you have decided, where you have fallen short, and you have to step it up. Even when we are looking at this idea of mastery, which is under the Capricorn umbrella, how does one become a master? By making many mistakes. If you go to hike a mountain and you are wearing the wrong shoes, you're going to get blisters, and you're going to have to hike with the blisters. You're going to have to hike in pain because you didn't wear the right shoes or you didn't bring protection. So that's why we cringe a little bit with this Saturn energy, because we know that if we don't do a good job, then we might get in trouble. Part of what is happening as Pluto has been moving through Capricorn since late 2008, we've gotten deep insight into the corruptness of the governing bodies. So if you were a kingdom and we were looking around and we realized our advisory committee is out to make money, they're out to grab power, they're out to do devious things, and they are colluding with other kingdoms. How would that feel? That is what we have come to see in a very clear level. Now, like you've heard me say, a lot of this stuff is so big that how am I going to sit here and change it? We're not. But what we will change is how we relate to our own governing body, that inner critic, our own personal advisor. What kind of advisor are you? What kind of inner critic do you have? What is it beating you up about? And I talked a lot about this in our Capricorn season back in December and January. So you can go back and listen. I'll dive into it on many different levels in those episodes. But this inner critic that you have that is always hounding you about something. What's it always on your case about? And how does it sound? And who does it sound like? A lot of times our inner critic sounds like our most demanding and rigid parent. The choice that we're all faced with as we are coming out of Pluto in Capricorn for good. Pluto will never be back in Capricorn in our lifetimes after this year. Are you being ruled by a punitive, power-hungry, angry, shameful inner critic? And if so, how does that inner critic work with that inner mother? And how does that inner critic work with that emotional, grounded queen? Now, remember, back to the seesaw analogy. If you are too heavy on the Cancerian side, where everything feels hard, your feelings get hurt, you're always trying to get love, or you are too indulgent, you are too attuned to everybody else, you're scurrying around trying to make sure that everybody has their needs met, you're giving, giving, giving. Where is your advisor? Where is your voice of reason? Where is your reality check? And where is that part of you that brings you out into the world, that helps you to master those places where you are weak? If you are out of balance, you might need a stronger advisor. You might need to really study this Saturn Capricorn energy and get a sense of how to have better boundaries with yourself, how to build a stronger foundation of reasoning, of taking responsibility for yourself instead of always taking responsibility for other people. Or you might be out of balance on the side of Capricorn, which can look like working all the time, being too invested in the rules, the laws, the regulations, being too trustworthy of outside government, and also too trustworthy of your inner critic. You might be somebody that listens to your inner critic. I can really tell when I'm around somebody that has an inner critic that is running rampant, because they sound a lot like, I'm such a loser. I can't believe I did this. I'm so embarrassed. I messed this up. Like, if that is what you find coming out of your mouth a lot, your inner critic is probably out of balance and you are missing that sweetness, that kindness, that love of your internal mother, of your internal emotional queen. So we're looking at how can we balance? Cancer is the mother, Saturn is the father. How do we balance between those energies? If Cancer is the home and Capricorn is life's great work, how do you come into balance between those two things? If Cancer represents your lineage and everything that has been passed down to you, including your history, your memories, and Capricorn is what are you going to do to change the things that are dysfunctional? How are you going to build a more solid foundation of success for those generations that come after you? How do you balance those things? So those are really our big questions for this Cancer Capricorn axis. But essentially, we are really into the nitty-gritty of these questions. We have all of these questions around our government. If you watch the news, you will see quickly and clearly that the governments around the world are floundering and out of control. This is a time period where questioning everything is important. Making sure that you don't slip into the fear side of things. Don't let your inner critic go on a rampage telling you about how you should be embarrassed, you should be ashamed, you messed this up, you're a bad person. And make sure that you're not letting your queen go into a downward spiral. Oh my God, this is so sad. What am I going to do? Nothing's going right. Nobody loves me. We're all in danger. You have to really work right now to maintain this equilibrium of being an advisor that is in integrity, that is balanced, that is considering fairness and justice above all else. And you have to cultivate your internal queen that says, I sit on my throne, I am grounded, I listen to my emotions as they come in, I am discerning about what to take and what to leave. I use my emotions to inform me without getting swept away in them. You're making sure that your Aries and Mars boundaries are on point. You are learning to advocate for yourself and listen to your gut instinct. You are making sure that your Taurus gardens are producing as much fruits, vegetables, flowers as possible. Your gardens are healthy. Your physical body is healthy. You are making sure that your Gemini, Mercury mind, your messenger, is bringing you the right messages and not getting caught up in garbage and gossip. And now you're making sure that your queen is strong and grounded. Your mother is attuning and compassionate, knows when to be soft, and knows when to step in with power. We will continue on over the next few months talking about the sun, your king, about Mercury in Virgo, your worker, etc., etc. But we know that right now, this is it. We are working on creating the strongest, most powerful leadership team possible. And this month, the advisor and the mother or the queen. And we are pulling in all the stops. And we really have no other choice. So with Capricorn, Earth, Cardinal, Saturn, 10th house, we fortify those archetypes with logic, with reality, and with discipline. We develop strong protective responses, and we watch to make sure that our inner critic is not beating us up, because being punished is no way to ensure loyalty, is it? We are loyal to the government, to the authority, to the leadership that respects us and that honors us. And when we are fortifying our queen or our mother, we're understanding the need for safety. We are working on both giving and receiving so that things feel balanced. And we are tuning into our intuition. And we know that we are out of balance when we are being moody, easily hurt, we're giving too much and refusing to receive, or we become gloomy or melancholy or hopeless. A hopeless, melancholic mother is not a big support system. And we know that a needy and demanding, withholding queen is not to be trusted. We don't wish to serve a queen that makes us walk on eggshells. This is your opportunity while you're thinking about it this week to tune in if you were going to be the very best advisor and the very best queen and mother to yourself, to your own personal kingdom. What needs to change? Deep breath.
All right. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I hope that you learned something, and I will see you all soon.